guys, so I just want everyone to know that this was not the original plan today. This is the studio display. So I went to Apple this morning to pick up a Mac Mini for Eric. Saw this thing, don't know what happened, now it's here. So my original plan was to buy a 27-inch iMac. When Apple announced it, Apple called my bluff, discontinued the old one, leaving us to only pretty much buy this if you want a 27-inch monitor. So this is where we are. So for those who don't know, this is Apple's Studio Display, a really high quality all-in-one monitor, 27 inches, 5K, but also includes a built-in webcam and built-in speakers. So it is sort of an all-in-one solution for your computer. So we're going over some real-world tests later in the video, webcam, audio, the display, of course. But first up is the unboxing. So I've watched enough videos over the last couple hours to understand exactly how to do this thing, I think. So for this one, you've actually got to lay it down. Now opening this thing up, these two actually pull apart, revealing the Studio Display. It's actually a little lighter than I was expecting it to be. It's heavier than the iMac, definitely, the M1 model, of course, but that makes sense for all that's being packed in here. Got what I'm assuming is the documentation. We've got a Thunderbolt cable that's actually included in this, which is great to see. And we've got our quick start guide. And for this one, we actually do get the Apple stickers. I didn't think they were going to come with the actual display, but they do. All right, and through the magic of editing, we're going to clean this up. Don't you guys just wish life was actually like that to clean up? All right, so we're going to unwrap this thing here. So I know the display is the main event, but we're actually going to start by looking at the back of this thing. So on the back, we've got 4 ports here, 3 USB-Cs, and then 1 Thunderbolt cable. And basically what's going to happen is those 3 USBs can plug pretty much anything into them. And then with your Thunderbolt cable, it can actually transfer all of the data from these 3 into the Thunderbolt. And that means that basically if you plug this thing into like your MacBook, anything that's connected to this is then connected to that. So in that sense, this is really kind of a dock as well. It really is an all-in-one for you. Now this stand, by the way, there's 3 different stands that you can get. The first one here is just the swivel. So you can see it can only do that. The next one is the VESA mount, which doesn't come with the VESA mount. So basically you have to have your own. And then the third is able to swivel, but it can also rise up and down. And that one is going to cost you an additional $400, which I opted out of. So we just get the stand. On the back here is what I'm assuming is the power. Yep. And by the way, they've actually got the braided cable here, which I love is something that they're starting to incorporate. It feels really high quality. Slowly over time, all of my cables are going to become braided like this. You can see this thing is definitely a lot thicker than the M1 iMac, of course, because it's got all kinds of stuff built into here, and it needs the thermals to be able to kind of vent through as well. But definitely like twice the size of the M1 iMac. And I'll cut to some B-roll and show you the difference as well. But now, onto the display. Oh, this is the best part. Here it is, you guys. And the most exciting part, black bezels. All right, here we go, you guys. Turning on for the first time. By the way, no power button at all. You basically plug this in. It's good to go. And here we go. I'm going to show you a better angle though. So this is a look at my actual display, and the reason I'm showing you this is so that we can compare the two together. Right now I'm using the Studio Display as my main display with the iMac as my secondary display. And the reason I'm doing this is obviously because of this much larger 27-inch Studio Display. It's also much wider, which is perfect for viewing my whole timeline and video editing. The resolution is 5K on this display, up from 4.5K on the iMac, but generally speaking, they're both very similar in terms of clarity, at least at first glance. With of course the exception being that the Studio Display has 100 nits more brightness than the iMac, meaning it's a lot brighter and it's perfect for viewing in really bright environments or if you just like a brighter display. Now in terms of stats, 14.7 million pixels in this thing. There's a billion colors, P3 wide color as well, and for it to process all of these things on top of being a very bright display, I have found in my testing this thing gets really hot. And I mean, this is not a very big room that I'm shooting in right now, so with long edits, the entire room starts getting really hot because of this monitor, and that's not something I had when it came to the iMac display. Of course, the trade-off being, it looks good. So this model is the basic coating, and I mean, it looks great. I don't think people are gonna go wrong with buying the base model, but if you wanted to improve that screen, you can get the Nano-Textured display. It's gonna be easier on the eyes, it's gonna be easier with less glare, not gonna be easier on your bank account though, as it comes at $400 additional Canadian just for that coating applied. But what I was really excited to test out here was the camera, as I know I've had a lot of people asking about this and complaining about this if they've already reviewed it. And I've gotta say, what they're saying is unfortunately actually true. And you can see the comparison here of the camera and the mic of that versus the iMac. So this is a test of the studio display camera and mic. Had to tilt this thing way down so that it was actually in view. If I put the monitor straight up, it's that far out of frame. So it's got a lot of headroom here. Kind of a weird angling for this thing. And I imagine if you're on FaceTime, it's gonna do center stage and focus more on you. But with everything else, I mean, to have this angled down doesn't seem right. And here's a test of the camera on the iMac. You can see already vibrant difference, much better colors, much better tones, and as well the angling of this camera is way better. As you can see, the display is flat, it's not angled down, and I'm in the middle of the frame instead of it showing way too much headroom like the other one did. This of course is with the microphone as well from the iMac, so you can gauge the difference there as well. Now Apple released a statement saying they are working on a software update that's going to improve that camera, and I would say it's bad enough that you should actually hold off on buying this thing until that is fixed. And of course, this goes without saying, don't buy a product based on future promise. But in terms of updates for this thing, so it comes with an A13 Bionic Chip packed in, and that of course is to help power the center stage camera, spatial audio within the speakers, and of course using Hey Siri. And to do this, it's actually running a version of iOS. Now, does that mean we're actually going to get a full-on operating system in this monitor? Probably not. It would be cool if we had it, but very unlikely at this point. The display is packing in 6 speakers, 4 of which are woofers, 2 tweeters, overall a very, very full sound, and this is what probably surprised me the most about this display. Again, coming from the iMac where it was just such bad speakers that I ended up using HomePods paired in stereo just to have that full sound. Now I don't know if I'm going to need it because of these speakers. They also go a lot louder than I expected them to, only needing to go up like 2 notches, where on the iMac I had to go up about halfway. So that's the first look at the studio display. Like I said, we're not going too intense on the testing. That of course is going to be saved for my review happening in a couple weeks. Now if you want your questions answered, drop a comment down below with what you want to see on this thing, and I'll be sure to get to it. And while you're down there, remember to hit subscribe so you get notified when that video comes out, and hit the like button because it tells YouTube that videos like this don't suck. Thank you guys so much for watching and supporting the channel, and I'll see you in the next one.